Hello friend, this is Paper Kitty. Welcome back to my channel. Today I have a special unboxing. It's a new company that I'm working with called Kokorosa. I will be listing their information in the information box below, and they have sent me some beautiful dies. I want to play with them, so I'm going to go ahead and I did peek at them. I wanted to go ahead and show them to you here, and so they come, in this small little deal here, and so I got 3 dies basically, and they're sets in a way, because like this one, I like that it's got that little dress form. I thought it might be a little bit bigger, but it's still really cute. And then there's these layers of these dresses, which are, I think they said they were wedding dresses, but you can use them however, they're dresses. And so yeah, it's got like this little skirt right here, and then this little bodice type dress like that, and then this one, that's opened kind of like this in the middle. So I think that's going to be really fun to play with, and I have some ideas how I'm going to use them, so I'm excited about that. Then I've got this one, which is actually one piece. For some reason I thought the butterflies and the flowers were separate, but they do have pictures in their website where it shows you the metal die. So it was just, I didn't really look at it, but if I did, I would have probably noticed that that it is in fact one large piece. But I really think it's beautiful, and again, I am excited to work with it, so I will be happy to play with that. And then last but not least, this is a beautiful flower, like a rose die, and it's got some leaves as well. And so I'm not sure how this piece fits once I cut. I'm sure, I'll figure out how that works, because to me this looks like that would be enough, but I don't know how this layering is. I feel like it's going to be a layering piece basically, so I'm really excited to play with that as well. So when I make videos, I don't always know where they're going to take me, or even when I receive new supplies like this, I kind of have an idea of how I'm going to use them. That's how I choose the items. And I was thinking that I wanted to make some tags that were using my mermaid paper with these. And so I think I'm going to try to attach a couple of videos showing you how I do that, because I've been meaning to do that. Okay, you guys, so now I'm back, and what I did is pulled out some just scraps, really. These are usually small enough to where most people would throw them away, or they're really tiny. I mean, you could use them for embellishments as well. Okay, so that's why I keep them. And then there's some that are like this, which sorry for the glare, but they're really hard to do anything else with it, except unless you have like tiny punches or something, which I have used. But these really are ones you probably want to throw away, because there's really not a lot more you can do with them. So, I've just, usually when I complete a project, if I have little bitty ones like that, I do save them in little baggies. I try to keep the color coordination going on if possible, because that does help me when I'm going to make this mermaid paper a little bit. But since I'm thinking about what I'm going to be using, which are like this like dress, this beautiful kind of like vintage wedding dress type, I feel like I want to have some, shinier, kind of brighter colors. And so I'm tempted to pick out, some of this scraps. Now, this one has some thread on it, and so, that's going to be interesting. And then I'm liking this pink and yellow situation here, so I'm going to pull that out. And then I'm liking these, pink, and this is like a Maggie Holmes paper. These are, I think they're Maggie Holmes scraps. See, like here's another little scrap like that, with some gold glitter on it. Now, it doesn't always translate properly, and you'll see why, you know, when you're doing these, you know, because you don't always get to see anything that's going to be glittered that much. You don't always get to see it because of the treatment you do on it, you know. But anyway, I just picked out a few papers that I think I might like to use. They just so happen to be, a lot of them are the Maggie Holmes scraps there. And then I've got this other one here, which is, it's got like little unicorns, and it's got some pinks and blues and yellow, not really much yellow, just a little bit of yellow, which is fine because I do like it. I do like that. So I could probably use that on my next sheet, because I'm gonna have to make a few sheets, and I will be back to show you the next step. Okay, friends, so what we have here, I just have this little clear kind of plastic mat so that I won't wet this paper underneath here. And so basically what I do at this point, you can use a letter size. I just happen to have a legal size piece of paper. This is just a generic piece of, you know, printer paper, nothing fancy, you know. I think it's like 20-pound weight or something, very light. It doesn't matter. You could go thicker, but because of the treatments you do on it, it's not important. In fact, I prefer using just a very basic standard sheet of copy paper. So now I have these bits that are scraps that, like I said, would usually go in the bin, except maybe for this piece, which is a little bigger, but still would be kind of hard to figure out what to do with. So I'm probably going to just, you know, rip this up a little more. Now with this one, I'm going to have to do some cutting because there's some thread that I had put this through the machine and use some gold thread, and yeah, so yeah, this one I can go ahead and cut like that. And so, you know, basically they're just odd little pieces here and there, but at this point what I want to look at is the colors, because, you know, this is the point where I'm going to pick out, you know, basically what the colors are going to be that I'm going to be using here. And they're mainly going to be two colors. Now I'm seeing here that the main colors I'm seeing here are like the yellow and the pink. So I think I'm going to keep going with that. And so what that means is that I'm going to go ahead and grab my watercolors, and I'm going to pick out some yellow right here, and I have a couple different kinds of yellows, and then some, I don't have pink, but I have this red, and if I, since I'm going to dilute it quite a bit, it will look kind of pink. And I do have a little bit of this kind of orangey red. It doesn't even have the name on it. These are fairly cheap watercolor paints that you can pick up at Ross or something, real cheap. So and then, you know, there's this white one which could be helpful in diluting a little bit of that red. Just use the red and the white on this one for right now, just to show you. And in fact, I'm going to go ahead and get another sheet of printer paper and go ahead and show you what I do. Okay, so what I've done is I've put a little bit of water right here on my little watercolor palette container here, and I'm going to go ahead and see if I could open this. It's a little hard to open. So I'm going to just put a little bit, just like that, because remember, I don't want a very bright color, so I don't want to do that and make it too bright. And then I'm going to go ahead and add, you know, I really wanted to make this pink. So, you know, we want to go ahead and add that white. And, you know, I love all kinds of pinks, so I don't mind if it gets a little bit too pale. Like, that's not going to bother me. So I'm going to go ahead and get like a medium size brush for right this minute and just kind of dilute it, you know, with some of this water that I have on the side over here. And right, so then I'm going to go ahead and add, let's see, some of this water is starting to want to overflow, so I'm going to let it go in here. All right, so we got that water here, and it's really light. You know, you can still see the color, but if I put it on the paper, it would probably be even lighter. So I'm going to go ahead and mix in that white to get that pink. And like I said, I don't mind, you know, you're always going to get different kinds of pinks depending on how much of each color you're adding. So this one's really a light pink, which is a little lighter than I wanted maybe, but I don't know. I think I'm going to go with it. So so the next thing is, let's see, I probably should have had something to put my little brush on, but basically at this point all I'm gonna do is grab like a bigger brush, because I'm just gonna brush this paper very lightly like this. Now you see this one is truly very light, because once you've, you know, put it on the paper, you could barely see the color. It's very pale. So, but I keep thinking about that wedding dress, and you know, I feel like I want a very pale pink for that. So that's the idea. I don't know if that's gonna actually turn out nice or not. You know, this is kind of like one of those projects that you just really don't know what you're gonna end up getting. So I had a little glob of paint there of red, so you see how it's kind of mixing in there, and that's fine. It doesn't have to be perfect at all. In fact, I'm gonna go ahead and add a little more color here, and then a little bit more of the white there, and then okay, go ahead and so that way I have a little bit more to add here. Now this one's slightly darker, not very much, but it will be fine. So yeah, you'll get different tones and different, you know, sheerness depending on how sheer you put together your color. Really, this is kind of like one of those things that you just have to wait and see what happens. Like you really are not, it's hard to control this part really, which is kind of the fun part, because you know, you're never going to get the same thing. You know, it's always going to be different, which is part of the beauty, I think. You know, that you know, you're never going to get exactly the same paper. Like literally each time you get something different, which again, I think it's really marvelous. So this one's turning out to be a little darker maybe, but again, I'm fine with that. I'm going back this way again because I felt like that was a little too light for my taste, way too light. So I'm going back in a little bit more, you know, with a little bit more of that color. But also remember that once it dries, it actually does lighten up a little bit more. So I think it's still going to be a very pretty, very pale pink, and so I'm excited about that. So yeah, just basically putting that watercolor, almost like painting the paper here, you know, just covering it up real haphazardly on the paper. And now we're ready for the next step, which is basically to randomly start picking out these pieces of this paper, of these scraps. And you know, I just like to kind of randomly, you know, just put them in different locations, different pieces. It's very random again, you know, which is another reason why this is such a fun project, because you're really hoping for something beautiful. Like, you just really never know. I mean, so far I've always felt that I've gotten something really pretty, so that's never really like been an issue, that I felt like I've gotten, you know, something that I didn't like. I haven't had that happen. You know, I suppose it can happen. So, you know, there's always that concern in the back of your mind that you think, oh, what if this doesn't look good? And so it's kind of just, you know, a little bit frightening not to know. Like I said, you don't have a lot of control of what's happening. So you just go through the steps and hope for a happy mistake, basically. Okay, so then now I've laid down a couple pieces. I think I'm gonna go ahead and maybe add some of this with the yellow in it, because for some reason I am just loving yellow and pink right now. That combination is just really fun for me right now. But then I feel called to this with the green. I just don't really know if I want to add it right now. I think I'm going to leave this one a little more simple and maybe do another page like that. But basically, now that I've done this, you can see that basically, you know, I just placed the pieces directly onto the wet paper, and you know, maybe try to cover it a little bit. You could probably go ahead and just, I put a little bit of see, you don't have control. Sometimes you make these little mistakes and they might turn out nice, so you just don't know. But yeah, I'm just going in just a little dab with some more, basically just water over them, so that, you know, they can kind of stick a little bit better. But I'm not gluing them just yet. I'm just putting basically just the water on them right now. And again, just to kind of let them not stick totally, but sort of, you know, just have something to grab onto, you know, with that water. But really not a whole lot. Now, because I came back with this paintbrush, there were some little bits of color that I mistakenly allowed in there, which again, you know, this is a very loose and free and fun thing to do, because you don't know what you're gonna get. So it's fun to kind of not be super picky with it, because, you know, part of the fun is seeing what you get. So the next step is the glue. Now, I think the cheapest glue that you can possibly buy is the best one, because you really don't need to be spending a ton of money on glue here. And so I'm going to go ahead and get another brush for right now. And of course, you want to be using your cheaper brushes. But what I've done here is just kind of put a bunch of glue everywhere, and just going to go ahead and now kind of sort of paint it on to where I am fully covering the paper. So you do end up using quite a bit of glue, which is why this project, you know, if you make a lot of these pages, obviously you don't want to spend a lot of money on glue, because you're going to be using, you know, a lot of money on glue unnecessarily, because I don't think you need to put very expensive glue for this project. However, I do think that if you want to experiment with other glues, you certainly can. You know, I haven't tried it, but so yeah, now I'm just laying the glue over, you know, the little pieces of scrap. Again, my paper is still wet. I haven't, you know, dried it or anything. I'm doing this continuously, even though I am stitching the, you know, some of these videos, because it just gets a little messy here for me. And so yeah, so I've got the glue. I've spread it all about the page generously. And now I'm gonna get a napkin. Now what I'm gonna use is the back part of a napkin. Okay, so when you take off the layers of napkin, of your pretty napkins, and you get these white ones and you don't know what to do with them, guess what? This is a great project for that. So you just simply make sure you only have the one layer, and then boom, you just lay it down on it, and then you press it. You press down on it. And once you've done that, lightly, because obviously it's wet and sticky and everything, and so you gotta be gentle with it at this point. And then of course it's gonna be wrinkled and everything like that, and you could put another layer of glue on top. I do tend to do that sometimes, depending on how I feel, to be honest with you. But I don't think you need to put a whole lot on the top, unless you want the paper to become even thicker, because it will add another layer to your paper when it's dry. And you know, it kind of gives it a more plastic texture. You know, it gets thick and like plastic like. So you know, again, sometimes I've liked that look, but not always. I don't always like that texture necessarily, and so in this case I don't, and so that's why I'm not really adding a lot of glue on the very top, but I'm adding enough to where I feel like I've at least put a I'm trying to get some of this glue out, that I feel like I've at least touched every piece of the paper. So I will be doing part 2 of this project in the next video, and I will be also showing you what I ended up making with this fun paper and the Kokorosa die sets that they have provided for me. I want to thank you, Kokorosa, for providing these, and I will link them and the products in the information box below of the dies where you can find them. Be sure and give me a thumbs up if you like this video, and press the subscribe button if you would like to be a subscriber. When you do, make sure you set your notifications for all so that you will know when I have a new video for you, and you certainly want to see what happens next. I think you will really enjoy it. Love you so much. Love you so much. See you in the next one. Bye now.